So as Tanya said, HSE wrote to industry in 2013. They also wrote to us in 2010. And unsurprisingly, the next presenter, or at least the next organisation, was identified in 2010 as having a best practice hydrocarbon release plan, which went on to form the step change guidance, or was part of the guidance that was produced. One of 3 companies whose plans were iterated down to the guidance that's available. Since there are no new releases, or new releases and no new reasons, it's very important just to take this time just to go and look at how, in this case, BG are doing, how they're working with their plan, and why, when HSE wrote to them again in 2013, they were deemed as best in class again. So there's lots of opportunity to us to learn from others, and I'll just invite Andy up to give us a sense of where BG are at, what they're doing, what the next steps are. Thanks, Andy.
Thank you, Les. Thank you, and good morning to you all. And thanks for the opportunity to present a short overview on hydrocarbon release reduction plans from an operator's perspective. Before I start, I just want to provide a very short overview on BG and our operations in the UK. Produce a little over 100,000 barrels of oil a day in interest in a variety of central North Sea assets. We have major interests in Buzzard, J Area and Elgin-Franklin, and an active exploration and development portfolio. Today though, I'll be talking about what we are doing about hydrocarbon releases on our operated assets, namely Armada, Everest and Lomond platforms. I intend to cover a few topics this morning, focusing on hydrocarbon release reduction plans and the activities that we've carried out. But as a way of introduction, in 2013, the Health and Safety Executive wrote to all UKCS operators regarding increase in hydrocarbon releases. As mentioned by Melanie Taylor in the last presentation, BG's response to the challenge summarised our hydrocarbon release reduction plan. I understand, and has been mentioned, we were viewed as the best response to the HSE that the HSE received. Though this does not mean we have all the answers, so please, as we go through, you'll see that we've got statistics and trends which don't actually support that we're best in class. So you'll see from the presentation that BG has and is experiencing a small increase in the number of hydrocarbon releases. A challenge I'm sure a lot of you, the other operators and duty holders out here today, are also facing. The challenge from the HSE and our own experience of managing mature assets has provided an opportunity for us to look back and reflect on our approach that we are taking, to ensure that this approach we have taken is correct and focused in the right areas. The following is our story on hydrocarbon releases and also outlines the challenges we continue to face. I'm sure this will resonate with many of you in the room today. As you can see, we have a slight increase in the number of reportable hydrocarbon releases in the past 2 years. This has already been highlighted through other presentations that the trend has been on the rise, and that's what we've experienced as an operator. This year we've reported 6 releases so far. We don't want to report any more, but can't stand here today and say that's not going to be the case. But we are working hard to actually prevent the releases. I'm sure there are other operators in the room who have seen similar trends, and as the assets and the facilities get older, the asset integrity becomes a bigger issue for us all. This slide summarises our 2013 and 2014 radar reportable releases. The common findings from our investigations have been a lack of compliance with control of work, safe isolation and reinstatement of plant, and risk assessment. A good example of this would be the incident we had on the Lomond metering skid in June and a repeat incident in July this year. This is where routine templates were used to break into hydrocarbon systems. Another finding was employees' perception of hazard. For example, had a release of North Everest condensate metering skid when blowing down the skid. Small bore tubing, I'm sure that's a similar theme for a lot of you. It's certainly one that we've heard a lot about so far today. A good example of this was a gas release we had in the North Everest well bay in July this year when a tubing fractured due to the instrument that it was connected to mounts failing. They become degraded. And the last area that we found as a common finding is plant inspection, maintenance and spares. And a good example of this would be the gas release we had on Lomond in June last year when a grease port failed. So again, I'm sure you can resonate with a lot of those findings that we've found. But we've also noted a general theme of small rate releases. So these are releases that are very small, happen over a long period of time. The overall amount of hydrocarbons released, very difficult to detect with fixed detection because it's not building up in any quantity, but the actual volume released is actually quite significant, can be quite significant. Hydrocarbon release reduction plans have been used for a number of years in BG with clear ownership within the operations function for the delivery of the plan. Our target is 0 releases. Like many of you in the room, we've developed our plans using the step change guidance. The guidance lays out the components of a good plan and Les, not by design, but at the very start held up that booklet, which I'm sure a lot of you picked up. That's basically the booklet we've used. Not the toolkit, the guidance is the main one we've used. Describes the key systems and activities aimed at reducing risks, and in effect, this is the what to do. And it also describes how to do it. It's a good building block to start your plans from. We use the what and how to develop a high-level overview of our plan. Again, we don't try to achieve everything. We look for the areas of highest concern and biggest risk, and we target the plan on those areas. Now I spend a few minutes describing our planning process in a little bit more detail and the actions we are taking. We define roles and responsibilities for key stakeholders. For example, the asset manager is accountable by the Chief Operating Officer for delivering their assets part of the 2014 plan. These key stakeholders have the ability to ensure leadership and delivery of the plan, hence why they have been identified. We also use the objectives set out in the step change guidance. We then develop detail around the what and how. And we also detail how we we also go into detail and set a target, an owner, and when we want to achieve this by. We then go on and on a monthly basis review the progress against the how with the owner of that action. And this is tracked within the plan. We report on a monthly basis against the plan, and that report is issued out to key stakeholders within the company, or within the asset, should I say. This focuses on progress against the plan, detailing the areas of concern or lack of progress. Where we've identified areas that are behind the plan, we will develop a remediation plan to try and catch that back up. The report, along with the asset integrity scorecard and our barrier model, are key inputs to our asset integrity governance process within BG in Aberdeen. Key focus areas of our plan, in a bit more detail, are the need for good investigations. Example of this, improved root cause analysis training. We've rolled that out this year. And this has been very helpful in ascertaining what the actual root cause of some of our incidents are and getting down to the nuts and bolts. Also doing a lot around the weeps and seeps. So we've introduced the use of flare IR cameras, and we've also beefed up our weeps and seeps guidance for the guys and girls out in the platforms who are carrying out the weeps and seeps. And with the IR camera itself, we've had a really good response to that with the offshore community. We purchased one camera earlier this year. We rolled that out. Very quickly, they engaged with the equipment and saw the need and the use for it in a wider use than just weeps and seeps tours. And we've gone on to purchase a further 2 cameras, which is in the process of purchasing those. So each installation will then have their own individual camera. Our control of work procedures have been reviewed, rewritten, and rolled out across the 3 installations. Additionally, our operational risk assessment process is being revised, and the rollout of that is imminent as well. We've also identified improvements with small bore tubing and hose management, again subjects that have been mentioned here already today. And like many of you, we have some key challenges around integrated asset planning. This is mainly around POB or priority conflict, or to put it another way, insufficient bids to liquidate the priorities that we have. Made improvements on our organisation structure to be more clearly define how we assure process safety. This has been, what we've done there is we've separated out the HSE and the assurance elements from within the organisation from operations, so they become standalone, and there isn't any potential for conflicts then between the operation and delivery of the operation and the process safety. And in 14 and 15, we have major flotel campaigns focused on asset integrity improvement on both Everest and Lomond. This is circa $500 million of investment focused on issues such as piping replacement, vessel inspections, piping inspections, and fabric maintenance predominantly. The Upman of the Borgholm Dolphin Flotel has started this week, and that then we are about to start a 4-month shutdown process supported by the flotels. And finally, we've also identified, we've also identified deficiencies in our management of change process. So the main issue here is really around ensuring ownership of implementation. So the process can be robust. Unless somebody owns the implementation and ensure it happens, it all falls down. And finally, we've used Spade Adam major hazard awareness sessions to improve onshore and offshore's understanding of hydrocarbon releases. And these are supported by our leadership team, and indeed each member of our asset leadership team is expected to attend at least one of these sessions. In addition to the plan this year, we've carried out asset integrity review, which is a fairly detailed review around our asset integrity performance to understand areas of opportunity where we need to improve, and also an operations excellence assessment. We've continued our one-team engagement with key contractors to focus on safety predominantly, and also included in that is hydrocarbon release prevention. And we're using our learnings from our releases and industry to develop and define our future plans. So our 2015 hydrocarbon release reduction plan process has already kicked off, albeit it's fairly early days. We are using our learnings from our incidents, from the industry, and also what we found from our asset integrity assessment and OE assessments to develop that plan and ensure that it's focused and targeted in the right areas. But I don't expect the plan in 15 to be fundamentally different, too much different from the plan we've executed in 14, or we are executing in 14. And we also ensure our asset leadership team has awareness, understanding, and supports the hydrocarbon release reduction plan. So leadership is key to actually making sure that the rest of the organisation actually deliver on what we want them to deliver. However, ongoing challenges. Question I'm sure a lot of you are now asking yourself, if we're deemed to be best in class, if we're seen to be doing all this good stuff, why are BG still having a number of releases increase? I've got no easy answer to that. There's no simple solution to this. What we do know is that we've applied more rigor and focus in 2014 in monitoring and reviewing the plans on a regular basis. We report the progress on these plans. That's reported up to key stakeholders. We've also made changes to the organisation and are continuing to review, and where required, simplify and improve our processes and procedures. A lot of what I've mentioned is in early stages of change. We've been through a lot of change in this year. We've pushed the things on quite considerably. So we're still taking time to allow that to embed. So that we do expect, though, that once that embeds, we continue to develop and implement, we will start seeing this tide turn within our installations. However, there are some challenges that we face. We've got aging assets. Everest and Lomond, they're over 20 years old now and past their original design life. They're suffering from crime-era design and also years of underinvestment in the maintenance on the assets. Human factors. Tanya gave a very, very good presentation on human factors. Certainly an area that we think is a big challenge. Put simply, compliance with procedures, ownership, risk perception of routine tasks, and staff retention are key areas that we see. All those involved in asset integrity and process safety also need to be mindful of the growing concerns over North Sea cost escalation, not to mention the price envelope. I think we're around about $86, $87 a barrel today. I'm sure some of you have operating costs very close to or even potentially above that. So it's a big, big challenge for us. So this means we need to increase the need for cost-efficient solutions to reducing our leaks. It's my view that these challenges are also challenges that the industry as a whole, you guys and girls out here, also face. And as such, we need to continue to collectively engage and collaborate to address these challenges. As ever, working closely with our key contractors and suppliers. We at BG are very keen to continue to share our experience and learn from others. So please, if you want to know more detail around what we've done with developing our plans and where we're going, and please get in touch. I'm only too happy to come and speak to you and learn from you as well. So thank you for your time and your interest today.
Thanks, Andy. Just, as Andy said, they're using the guidance. What he didn't, again, and I said earlier, actually they were one of the three main contributors to the guidance in the first place. So that putting these things into life is part of actually what we're here to do within Step Change, that collaboration piece. And if we do use simple guidance, we might save some money along the way instead of reinventing the wheel every time a safety professional gets their hands on a new piece of rules or something. But that's just a little soapbox moment for me. But putting those into effect is really, really important, whether it's in an explicit plan like BG have or embedded in your safety management systems. It is required.